Hey guys, it's Kelly. Hey, this is the last page in my most recent mini art journal. Really excited. I think it's turning out great. This is again one of my favorite pages. So that paper that I'm showing you is from packaging for some supplements that I get in the mail, and I was like, that is the coolest, unique, most unique texture I've ever seen. So I wanted to use that for my art journal. And I'm using some decoupage pack that I got on Amazon a long, long time ago. I already went through it and found the pieces that I wanted, so I'm just kind of showing you where I got these pieces from. I made my own ephemera from other ephemera. So I fussy cut some of those things out and I distressed some little portions of the decoupage pack that I liked. And it's really thin, so when you distress it with your distressor, you got to be careful, but it can still be done. So you just have to be really, really gentle with it. So after I got everything cut out, I wound up using my vintage photo just to get the shadow around so that they stand out a little bit more. And I spared you most of that, but I definitely wanted to share how I just tore those pieces from the packaging and I actually pushed it straight on my ink pad to get a really, really cool effect on it. I pushed it on there with the blending foam and I really like how that turned out because it almost looks speckled. So I thought that was pretty cool, but you can make your own ephemera even with the packaging that you get in the mail. So pay attention to the things that you get in the mail, like bubble paper. That's the perfect stamp. You guys have probably seen that on YouTube a lot. So if you get bubble paper or bubble wrap, just keep a piece of it. And the imperfection of it, you just ink it and put it on your projects. It looks really, really cool. And it's completely unique. Even you could pop some of the bubbles on the bubble paper and keep some of them full, and then you get totally different organic feel. It's nice. So if you haven't already tried that. But so I wound up, I used vintage photo, but I needed those pieces to kind of pop a little bit on the outside of the design. So I used some black soot on there and it worked out great to have it a little bit more, I don't know, to have the texture of it kind of stand out a little bit. I didn't want it to steal the show from the focal point, but I definitely wanted it to have a spark of interest in the background. And the blue on or the brown on brown just wasn't working. So now how I'm going to do my background is really simple. I was kind of thinking about, do I want to splatter it in the end? Like, how do I want to do it? And when I went back on my phone to see the design, I really needed the color to show on the outside of the design because the middle part of the page is going to be covered up. So I wound up using Stormy Sky. That's a really pretty grayish blue, really, really pretty. And Chipped Sapphire pairs really, really nice with it, especially if you're going to be doing some splatters and things like that and some stamping. You get a tone on tone look with those two. They work really, really well together. If you haven't tried them, definitely give them a shot. Works great for like evening skies, even just even a spring background, depends on what your focal point is. It can definitely make or break a project for sure. So Stormy Sky and Chipped Sapphire, if you don't already know, they just work so beautifully together for that tone on tone look. So I wanted to put some splatters on there because I love how the distress ink reacts with water. So although you can't see it because it's kind of glaring a little bit, the water splatters, I put really big drops on there and tried to pull the ink off so that I had more texture, visual texture in the background. And I can use my brush. You can use, you could just put water in your hand and splatter it on there, whatever your jam is. But that ink lifting thing is a super cool way to do it. So I also used the Chipped Sapphire for some splatter marks. And it went really nice. In the end, it needed to be a little bit more vibrant. So at the end, I wound up using black for some more splatters. But this was still a really cool way to add some more interest in the background with the tone on tone thing that I was going for my background. So I hope you guys like it. The texture in the packaging that a lot of times I save my packaging and I wind up tearing it up and using it on my art journal. I love doing that. So I got this stamp set that is one of Vicky Papanu's stamps and I love the watermarks. And there's an alert on here to where I give you a way to keep your stamps together. So tip alert for your stamp sets. You probably get those stamp sets where the acetate sheet is separate from the top sheet that is stamped. And it makes it difficult. I slowed down the video here. It makes it difficult to put it back on there and it's not on there evenly. So what I do when I have these stamp sets is I just grab some Scotch tape and I get a pretty good long piece and I line up the acetate backing. It's the one that you put on the actual stamping part of the stamp, because they cling fine to the first part of the acetate, but the second part on the stamp portion doesn't stay put, and it makes for storing them a little bit, I don't know, a little bit messy. So if you line it up perfectly for the extra piece of acetate and then use your Scotch tape as a hinge, it holds them together for you. If you're not already doing this, some of you might already be doing this, but if we're new to this, we might not know this. So you can even use any kind of tape, whatever tape you want. I just use Scotch tape because it was handy. And now it's stuck on there and I don't need to worry about it. I just flip it up, grab what I want, and flip it right back over. So that is a tip for you for your stamps to keep them, I don't know, in place. I like to keep them with the packaging. If the packaging is holding up, then why, if it's not broken, why fix it? So, but I do like to do that. So then I up to 2 times the speed because I don't usually move that fast, that's for sure, in anything I do. And since it's the first time stamping, I put some ink on it and I thought, oh, I like the distressed look of it, but it was a little too distressed. I needed it to stick a little bit more, so I just rubbed my hand on it and that works out really well. I love the imperfection of it. This stamp is one of my new favorites. I'm so glad that I pulled that out and that I got that. It's beautiful. I love it. It adds such a cool design in the background. And then you got just the one little cup ring there too. So, oh my God, I love those stamps. And this one is killing me. I love the crackles too. I have some stamps with crackle, but this one is the perfect size for this art journal size that I like to work on. I could just hold it in my 2 fingers and put it exactly where I want it in that organic pattern. I don't like to stamp it perfectly, so love that stamp. She did such a good job on her designs. Love it, love it, love it. So make sure I get all that dried so it doesn't smear. I'm really loving how the background turned out here, one of my favorites. And then I stamped it with Vintage Photo. Part of me wishes that I would have stamped it with the chipped sapphire. I opted out of doing that because I really liked all the other elements on there and I didn't want the stamping to, yeah, I don't know. In hindsight, I probably should have used the chipped sapphire for that, but is what it is. I still think it turned out nice. My thought was the brown, the Vintage Photo would really accent with the brown background for the packaging, so it turned out. But that's when I decided that the tone on tone is great, but I need a little bit more visual texture in the background, so the splatters are definitely the way to bring it all together. And I just did that with the Distress Ink Vintage Photo. I'm really revisiting all of my Distress Inks again, and I'm having so much fun with them. Forgot how much fun they were to work with. I was always doing like oxide and some other things, but I will always tend to gravitate back to the good old-fashioned things that just work. All right, so now it's time to put it all together, and I'm really liking how it comes together. And then I probably showed you the picture. When you get a composition that you really like, take a picture of it with your cell phone, because then you'll forget what you fell in love with, because we fuss with our patterns for so long. So once I laid it down, I was like, nope, I need a little bit more shadow, a little bit more shading on the packaging, because that texture is just too cool. A lot of it gets covered up, but it sure is peeking out from the background. It sure makes it look interesting. It makes you go, what the heck is that? Right? What is that? What did she put back there? But just packaging for a glass bottle for some supplements that I got from Amazon. Seriously, that's what it is. It's funny. And this one I put a lot of glue in the back of that because it was, it's kind of like I don't know, it's almost like shredded paper. So I needed it to stay put, but I liked the little pieces kind of poking out. So I wanted to keep that there. But I didn't want it to move once I put it down. So I was going to have some action on top of it. So there we go. I really like that decoupage pack. There's so many cool designs in there that you can use them as is. You can change them up, make them your own. Like I could get 3 little stamp elements out of that one sheet that I just put down. And there's lots of things you can fuzzy cut if you choose to. There's mushrooms, just super cool things in there. And it's just one of those decoupage. You can get them from Amazon. They're super cheap and a lot of value in it. So I get a lot of use out of it. And the butterflies, when I cut them out, it's really thin paper, which is fine for the art journal purposes. But I wanted them to have some dimension. So I got some foam tape and put them on the back of the leaf body of the butterfly because they're so flimsy. I didn't want them to move around. I needed them to stay right where they were. And then put it down there, and I'm loving Loving how this is turning out. So cleaning up my workspace with my hand sanitizer like I always do and my microfiber towel. And I am done. I wound up adding it with my book and it's completely done. I added some black soot around the side just to, and it was very choppy. It wasn't like perfectly around it. I just wanted it to be a little bit bringing your eye into the center and give it a little bit of a frame. And then when I put it in my book, I give it a frame with the black soot ink on the white paper as well and glued it in its permanent home. And then the next video you guys should see would be the one that I show you with the complete. But the sentiment was missing, right? So I was like, oh, it's done. Isn't that great? No. So I chose create and inspire from the Tim Holtz sticker thing. I get so much use out of that. Those little tiny stickers. I inked them and just put them down with some foam tape. And that was all I needed to make this page, I think, complete. And I love how it turned out. I was definitely feeling the blues. So thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. And I have a lot more to come. Thank you all for your support. Don't forget to leave a comment. Let me know what you think.